Good morning and welcome to the Sporting Club Ireland's weekend review. Joining me as always is former Galway footballer and current GA Plus pundit, Michael Meehan. How are you this morning, Michael?
I'm good, Mark. Good morning to you. How's life?
Well, we're both Galway men, so we probably could be better.
Yeah, it was. There was a lot of hope and excitement and expectation, leading into the match yesterday. But I think this Limerick team just served out a dose of reality, really, of where they're at, more than where Galway are at. They're just two teams at different stages in their cycle, and yeah, there was only going to be one winner there yesterday once the game kind of got going, which is a pity. But if you think back to the start of the season, certainly I wouldn't have envisaged that this Galway crop were going to get to the All Ireland final this year. So the fact that they did that, I think we have to take that as a positive, and just tip the hat to Limerick, an amazing Limerick side on what they achieved yesterday on the back of everything that's gone before.
100%. I suppose we're probably all a little bit guilty of letting our heart rule our head, leading into this game. We had a fair body of evidence how it might play out. And as I sent you a voice note yesterday, how I'd gone golfing with my dad and Ger Dowd, who knows the stuff, and Sean, who sells you tickets regularly. But Ger and my dad were quite worried that this could be maybe 15, 20 points if Limerick really put in a performance and Galway didn't get to the pitch. And unfortunately, on the day, that is kind of what happened.
Yeah, and even on the review show with Dalo during the week, he was probably beneath it all. That's where his gut was, but he was making his best case for Galway, as we all were. I think as everyone wanted to do, just to kind of, when it comes to a final, you want an evenly matched contest and you want a game that goes right down to the death. But Limerick had other ideas on that, and it's just, what can you do? I know Galway will be disappointed maybe a little bit with a few things that didn't go their way. I think they got caught a lot, probably turned over a lot and easily, but that's maybe down to Galway just being off it a bit. But it's certainly Limerick's ability to get contact, and they've big men, and just they had a ferociousness about them in that middle section of the pitch, between from 65 to 65. It was like a war zone watching it. I was lucky enough to be up there and watching it live. And just the bodies that they had in there, and the speed from Lynch and English in the middle, and then the power of the half back line and the size. And they just, they invited the contact on, and they usually came out on top. Whereas, Galway were looking to try and, give and go and get through that. But they did maybe against Cork, but couldn't do it yesterday. And that was just kind of, the platform was laid there, I thought, as well, in fairness to Derek Fahy in goals for Galway. Like the couple of saves he made early on, like Limerick went for the kill. They really did. They had they were tuned in from the start, and they went for it. And only for a couple of great saves from Derek Fahy, they would have rattled the net very, very early, and that could have painted an even bleaker picture if any one of those went in.
Yeah, no, look, I mean, when you're looking at these games from the position, say, for example, that I am, I talked about the 99% the other day. So you can't be critical at all of these Galway guys. And like you played at the highest levels, some days, as Michael Meehan done, who said, you're in the fire. But like even at the lower level, like, for example, for Craig's last year, we played against a team called Strokestown. And I went in there thinking everything was flying. We've got a real good chance there. I was feeling really confident, all that kind of stuff. And they were 10 points up after 6 minutes. I was stripped in my first two balls, and I was like, what is going on? So that came back to me yesterday when I was watching Galway just they were just running up channels. They were getting stripped. I think there was 40 turnovers that led to scores. And the Limerick guys tug out so big. Like, I've never stood beside Garrett Hegarty, but I imagine he's a monster. And like, across the board, they've just bigger men everywhere. And like, a good big man generally beats a good small man, and probably what happened yesterday.
Yeah, well, Garrett Hegarty, I don't know, he's 6'5", and he's just, he's cut from granite, I think. And it's funny, he was right down in front of us in the second half for a couple of long puck outs, and it's not that he didn't necessarily win them clean, but he was able to get a direction on the break, and just that presence, very controlled and calm. He's a measured player, and I think that was attest to Limerick. They were all kind of in that zone. They seem to have a great system of play and a great unity of, there's no one shining light, or there's no one hero, you're going to rampage through and save the day. It's very much the team will get this over the line. And even thinking of the Jason Rabbit, who was a target for a lot of Galway's attacks. He had Mike Casey on a yellow card early on, and that just didn't fluster them too much. They were able to move the deck chairs around a little bit and accommodate that, and they never panicked. And I thought Nyland, in fairness, a couple of the young lads did well, Trayers as well. Nyland, was very good off frees, and that's what we were really reliant on in the first half. And but it was that you mentioned the size of them. Like, you could see them for the parade when the president was coming out to shake hands as well. Like, just 5, 6, 7 for Limerick, just mountains of men. But more than that, they can hurl. Like, they have the skills, they have the deftness, they have the touch, and it's just the all round package.
You mentioned they can hurl. Like, Keane Lynch just picked some ball up off the ground yesterday. I was like, how did he pick that up? Tom Morrissey did it when he came on. They have everything. They have the size, they have the skill, they have the pace, power. And look, I heard people, critical of Galway. Did they get their tactics right? Did Cathal Mannion move away? You were there. You probably see this more. Did he move away from the role he'd been playing all year? Did they leave too much space down the middle? And like, you can ask those questions, but I don't think on the day, whatever tactics Galway played, I think Limerick were an unmovable force on the day and probably would have beaten any team in Ireland. They were just zoned in and they were ready. This was their day.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm not going to go into the intricacies of the tactics of a hurling team, of any hurling team, because it would be far from me to say, but
Same.
There are things that always there'll be things that Galway were disappointed in. Sometimes it's just a touch as well, a little bit, and maybe taking wrong options. Just going into a tackle when maybe it wasn't the right thing to do. But I think you're right. I think on the day, no matter what Galway presented, if Galway's game plan worked to a T, and it probably didn't, if it worked to a T, I still think Limerick, would have been there to meet that challenge and surpass it. And that's just who they were up against on the day. Galway got, against Cork, it was very different. They were able to force the turnovers on Cork, I think, in that match a lot of the time, and just, brought the crowd, and they got the energy from the crowd into the game, whereas that didn't happen at all. Limerick leveraged up from the crowd and the chanting. There was a great energy there for Limerick from the stadium, and that was, like you said, I think it was their name was on it, and they certainly weren't going to let anyone take it off them yesterday, let alone Galway.
No. And with our Galway tinted eyes, like, obviously, as you mentioned, it was a very positive season. They unearthed some great young talent. Like, Rabbit really did stand up yesterday, and Nyland, as you said, Trayers. I thought Joshua Ryan was very good as well, cornerback. I thought he battled hard. So they have a lot of positives going into next year. Look, they obviously had their tactics, kind of leaving Rabbit alone. I think obviously Micheál now will have time to head away in the off season and probably come back with the plan B and a plan C for next year, because now that they've tasted another All-Ireland day, I'm sure they'll want to get back there again and probably right that wrong. And the good thing is the age profile is pretty good here. So even though we're as Galway men, the day after another All-Ireland final loss, I think the future's bright.
Yeah, it is. I'm not sure. Is it maybe 5 or 6 of the starting team were in their first campaign, and there'll be more, probably only for injury, picked up during the year. So yeah, they built a lot of players, and players kind of really got up to the pitch of it much quicker than you would expect. It's not common anymore for someone to come straight out of underage ranks and get straight in and start on a senior county team. It doesn't happen, bar a few, and Galway got that with the two lads up front. So they'll take great solace from that. I know there's lads in the other side of 30 heading for mid-30s too as well, so that's to be looked at. But by and large, there is a good balance of youth and experience there, and there's lessons would have been learned yesterday, and maybe harsh lessons too. But for the good players, or for the great players, they'll learn from that. That'll fuel them forward into next year and beyond. And yeah, I'd like to think that Galway hurling is back in a very good place.
Yeah, I would think so. And yeah, as you said, there's always those guys kind of in their early 30s. But with Mihal at the helm and getting back, I imagine most of them will come back next year. But obviously, that's their decision for another day. But before we move on, I suppose you just got to take note and say what an exceptional team this Limerick team is and have been for a long time now. An incredible bunch and not too many weak links and one of the best managers. And there was a lot of praise
Yeah.
put towards Caroline yesterday and Paul Kinnerk. So they seem to have all the tools, the big team, the everything, the buy-in, the to just, I suppose, keep doing what they're doing.
Yeah, it's, going back to 2018, and it's funny, I was saying to Sharon, who was sitting beside me yesterday at the match, we were nearly sitting in the exact same place as we were in 2018.
Wow.
And Joe Canning had a free, like it was a monster free. He was on the Galway 45 near the sideline and to try and draw that game, I think it was, last puck, and might just drop short. But no, that was, Limerick got over the line that day. Galway were going for two in a row. Limerick got over the line, and little did we know back then, or I certainly didn't know what was going to happen in terms of the hurling landscape and where Limerick just grew and grew. And like they're up there with the very, very best of groups of teams that have ever come through now. I'd imagine, that the best of the Corks and the Kilkennys and the Tipperary. So there's still enough of them there. Yeah, they've huge accolades and they've huge amount of medals won. But with that group, under the stewardship that they have and everything that's around them, it seems to be a supreme environment for success. And there's no doubt they'll be looking to add a player or two as well. And like, it's so when you're bringing when you have a winning team like that, and you're just looking to add in one or two players, at a time, the energy that you're going to get from that is to try and break in, because they know they have a real chance of playing in one of the best teams, real chance of winning medals. They're going to get lads really chomping at the bit to try and come in and just, again, push them over the line again next year. So, well, we'd like to think that their best days are over, but right now it's hard to see. Limerick are certainly going to be in a strong position. They'll celebrate well, they'll winter well, and they'll time the run again for next year. You can be sure. But the couple of years of hurt was all those demons were exercised yesterday, and I'm sure they're going to be very, very near the top of the favourites list again for next year's All Ireland.
No doubt. And actually, just before we move on, you say that Nicky Quaid, I didn't catch the Sunday game because we were obviously watching the World Cup final, but Nicky said that. He said the young lads that they keep unearthing every year and adding to the group, that it's what keeps the energy. Because obviously Nicky, he was 37, I don't know, was it yesterday or this week? He's 37 recently, so, probably the best goalkeeper of all time. Really comes across as one of the nicest guys ever. And he said that's what keeps them going. So they do seem to have a good bond there. Whether they've JP's backing or not, everything seems good in the Limerick camp, and no doubt they'll be starting as favourites again for the 2027 All Ireland.
Yeah, absolutely. There's goal. The usual guns will be reamed out after them, but they're top of the pile. Like I said, they can kind of sit back now and let it sink in and just plan when next year comes around again, and just plan for June and July. Really, that's probably where, I suppose, actually earlier, May, June and July. Like Munster Championship is just ferocious, and you can't afford too many slip ups there. But once you can get through that, like they did this year, it's going to open up for them again. So, yeah,
100%.
Best of luck to them.
Well, congratulations, Limerick. Commiserations to Galway. I think Eve is going to bring our two little kids to their parade. So, look, there's always next year, Michael. So, yeah, will we move on to talk a bit of rugby?
Yes, exactly. Did you tune in? Well, I know we made a big bold prediction last weekend that that Ireland, or was it you, that Ireland were going to be the first in 32 years to get a victory in Eden Park, but it wasn't to be, was it?
Wasn't to be. Just on our predictions, I think we had 100% success rate. We
100%
got
record, yeah.
nothing right. That is incredible.
Oh, well, yeah, Jesus.
I tell you what, we could get picked up sponsorship here by Boyle Sports or Paddy Power. We'll make them a fortune.
Exactly, we would. I was going to say they're not going to lose too much money on the back of us now.
No, I did tune in, and look, you know, I love my rugby. It's like I love rugby, Irish rugby. I love Galway, and they're my passion. So Saturday morning, I woke up, I was buzzing, I was excited, and I was kind of like, have I again, same as Galway, maybe probably heart over head, thinking we have a real good chance here. But the closer you get to kick off, kind of the more anxiety you get, and you're like, oh, I'm not sure. New Zealand they're going well. Ireland are missing a lot of bodies, and I'm kind of worried. I'm worried it's a long season of dip. But anyways, it was a tough morning, so I'll give you a quick overview of the game. So we started reasonably okay, but the mistakes were creeping in early. Our first attack was a knock-on. But we were in their 22, and we were attacking, and it was looking good. And, I passed to James Ryan. He should have caught. And within, I'd say, 6 phases, New Zealand had their first score. So then they followed that up pretty quickly with Arde Sevilla. He just came off the base of the scrum, and scored from the base of the scrum. That doesn't happen. So he broke through 3 pretty weak tackles. So that's another soft try for Ireland to concede. And then we got one back. So Jack Conan, it was good play. He was excellent, by the way. Jack Conan got one back. And immediately off the kickoff, I just couldn't understand it. They decided at 14-7, the All Blacks had a man in the bin, just got a bit of momentum. Decided they'd run it out. Miscommunication. Ball went to ground. Will Jordan picks up the softest try he'll ever score in his career. 21-7. And then next thing, Rob Balakoon catches a great ball. Like, it was an incredible catch. But he hadn't fully got control of it. Was knocked out of his hands. 50-22, they score again. Ireland then had another chance before half-time, get turned over softly. And I'm like, oh, my God. It was frustrating. But they came out in the second half. They put some good stuff together. They got 2 tries. Obviously, they conceded as well. But there was some good defensive sets in there. There was some good individual performances. The set piece held up well, which I was worried about. So, look, you read X, and it's, again, I keep saying it's not the best place to go, but I do go there to just, and the commentary is like, oh, Ireland are, they're really declining. They're on the way out, blah, blah, blah. But the reality is, a lot of bodies down. Nick Berry didn't have a good game as the ref, and he never allowed our guys compete for the ball. Now, same to be said to New Zealand, but there was a yellow card as well that should have gone our way. And then they should have had a red. So, look, some of all the parts, no doubt New Zealand were the better team. Is it end of days? I don't think so. I still think that maybe this time, fingers crossed, and maybe it's just my blind optimism, that this time we'll time our run right for the 2027 World Cup. So did you see the highlights, Michael?
Yeah, no, I did. And like Hugo Keenan is back. He scored a try as well.
Did.
It's probably it's a couple of long-term injuries as well. Like, when you think back, it's Porter and Hansen. Do you know how far away those guys are? Like, are we going to see them in the autumn?
Well, I know for sure Mac is back in pre-season. I think Porter should be all right for next season as well. Paddy McCarthy could be a bit longer. He's other loosehead prop. Then Jack Boyle, or third choice loosehead prop.
Yeah.
I think he could be all right for the season. Jack Crowley should be all right for the season. And Ryan Bird. Like, you're missing some big bodies there, like as in some key players that would make your 23.
Oh, for sure, yeah. So it's very much, the rugby season, there's little chunks, that you have to kind of hit. Autumn is the next one, and then you have the Six Nations, and like all of a sudden then you're staring down the barrel of a World Cup, and look at that they've gone in opposite ways. That they've gone in, maybe peaking at this time of the year or too early. That's certainly not happening now, so it might be no harm for them just to rumble along this way, see how far they can get. Like, definitely the exposure and the experience the lads are going to have gotten over those summer games, it's going to stand to them, given all the players that they were down. But you still have to think, like, it's with a population of what we have here on the island, and when you go into a World Cup and you're taking on Australia, South Africa, France, the New Zealand, the heavy hitters, it's so difficult. Like, Ireland need a lot of credit for how well they have done. I know everyone wants them to do more, and possibly should have gotten further in the past, but it still is. We're dealing from a small pool of players, really.
100%. You're right. We are absolutely punching, and like, is it our fourth? It's probably our fourth sport in reality. So look,
Yeah.
we've been doing well to sit at the top table, but then, there are probably a number of insane rugby noses fans like me, and I suppose when you get that bit of success, you just want more. Like, I'm older than you, but when I was growing up, you get up for that game in the morning against New Zealand, and like you'd know that Ireland might fight for 15 minutes and lose by 60 points, but that's what you're used to, so you take it. But now that you're actually sitting at the top table, now that you're probably ahead of England, you love that. So you want more success, even as a fan. So that's why I was delighted Andy Farrell is staying in the role. He gets his criticism for not, breeding enough players, but I think he deals with what he's got and who he trusts. And I still hold out a lot of hope for this Irish team. I think, I'm going to say this because I said it the other day, but if Galway played Limerick 10 times, probably we'd lose 9 now after yesterday, I'd say. And if Ireland played South Africa 10 times, we'd probably lose 9. But you only need that one in a World Cup format. So this is where I keep my hope.
You mentioned the top table of rugby there. Are Ireland still at the top table?
No. The new rankings, and I suppose this is I didn't look at the rankings, and I imagine not too many people would disagree with me here. So you've got South Africa, they're sitting by themselves, and then you probably have France and New Zealand probably very close together at the next table. I think Ireland have done enough to probably claim 4th position. Underneath that, you've probably got a group of Scotland, Australia, England, and then I think Argentina are a bit below that, and then you got Wales, Fiji, Japan, and the rest. So that's probably the world order. I don't think too many disagree too much with me on that. Like, obviously Scottish fans might, English fans might, but I'd say that's kind of where we're at. Whatever we are out now, are we 15 months out to the next World Cup?
Okay, cool. What happened with the rest of the games over the weekend?
Yeah, so France continued their good form. Like they beat Japan 42-15, and they stuck with the Jalabert and Intimac 10-15 combination, which has worked well. Like, the two exceptional players. So maybe it's a case you have these two talents on the pitch. I don't know, because you saw with New Zealand as well, even in the highlights, that having McKenzie as an extra playmaker, it makes all the difference. And for all the talent and ability Hugo has, we do miss an extra playmaker. That's why we miss Mac. Australia gave Italy an absolute hiding. They're on the up, and Italy are on the slide. Scotland beat Fiji. Fiji, after the embarrassment of last week, fought hard, and a strong Scotland bench, and probably their lack of fitness probably cost them in the end. But that was 33-17, and it was a good effort. South Africa pummeled Wales, but it should have been more. 43-0. It should have probably been. They were off it. There was a bad performance. I know it's kind of funny you say it's a bad performance when they win 43-0, but it was, and they should have won a little bit more.
What's going on with Wales?
That's you'd need 10 podcasts for that. Genuinely need 10 podcasts. They don't even know. They don't even know how many teams they're going to have. Like beyond next year, so they're going to have 3 provinces, 4. There's money issues. There was issues with how they treated certain employees. Like it's an absolute basket case. Their 2 best players, Dowie Lake and Jack Morgan, have gone to join in Gloucester. Aaron Wainwright's gone to Leicester. Like, the very few of their kind of top players actually left playing in Wales. So they have a long road ahead unless somehow they produce, I don't know, 20 really good players by some miracle. They're in big trouble. So I would not like to be Welsh at the moment in rugby terms.
Okay.
And then England beat Argentina in what was a feisty game, messy game. I don't think Argentina are where they were either. I think they're struggling. But a bit of controversy at the end as well. It looked like Argentina kind of got a try in the corner. Wasn't given. It was a matter of opinion, but the ref had given the try. So to overrule it, probably with not enough evidence, was a bit controversial. So fiery. It was a fiery game. It was a bit of madness, messy game. Horrible watch, to be honest. And That's round one of the Nations Championship. So we lie fourth in our table, but we have home fixtures against Argentina, Fiji, and then the big one against South Africa to look forward to in November.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. Where are we going to next?
I think the World Cup final. Let's go to the World Cup final. Did you tune in?
It was. I did. Yeah, we were down in time. Because we weren't waiting around for a trophy presentation in Croke Park, so we were down in time, yeah, and great excitement here in the house with the small people to watch it, but it was a hard watch, it really was. There was a lot of the usual stuff that we expect from Argentina, and just the late tackles, and it was a frustrating game to watch, really. I found hard to enjoy, but like Spain, just I suppose they dominated, really. The possession stats were just off the charts there. When they'd pop up on the screen every now and then, it was nearly 3-1 number of passes, Spain versus Argentina, and things like that. And I suppose it was only a matter of time, especially when the red card happened. We were, I suppose, like everyone, you kind of wanted to go to penalties there at the end just to kind of get that last bit of value out of it. But Spain probably deserved it. Yeah.
They're a great football team. Before I go back into that, your little ones, how old are your little ones?
11, 9 and 7, yeah.
Okay, they're at a good age. So
they're good, yeah.
Good age.
We watched a lot of it now. Anthony was on at a half decent time. We watched a lot of it, so they're enjoying it.
I'm looking forward to my kids getting to the age where they'll actually watch it with me. I put on their Galway jerseys yesterday, but they wanted to watch Peppa Pig, so But
don't worry, it'll happen quicker than you think.
Yeah, I'm looking forward. He's playing a lot of football, the young fella now, so that makes me very happy. I'm practicing left, right. But anyways, Spain are a beautiful football team. They're a beautiful football team. They control the ball well. Argentina are kind of like old style Wimbledon, minus having Messi up top. They're barbaric. They really. Paredes came on a mission to just kill someone yesterday. How he wasn't sent off?
Yeah, he did well. Gee, he did really well, and even just the push right in front of the referee, and they must have a great ability to talk themselves out of trouble, because they're just constant late tackles and just silly stuff. But I suppose they get a bit of leverage off it, or they certainly have in earlier rounds as well. And it's a matter of pride, really, for them. But I suppose Spain dealt with it all. They just kept the ball. It wasn't until late on when Messi actually got the ball at his feet any number of times. They basically just kept the ball away from them. But yeah, they're a fair shower, the Argies. And look, if it had gotten to penalties, if it had gotten that far, I think they would have really, and on the back of 4 years ago, and Emi Martinez as well. He's a character. Champion. He's a champion of it. All he wanted was that opportunity to get one-on-one with the penalty takers, and he pulled all sorts of strokes there, but it never got that far.
No, there was a part of me that wanted Messi to get his second World Cup. I don't have any love for the Argentinian football team, but there was a little part of me, maybe Messi getting his second World Cup, be kind of, good way to go out. But even afterwards, Paredes again started getting into a fight. Did you see that? Did you?
Yeah,
the social clips came up online. And then Enzo wasn't in a rush to leave the field, pleading his innocence, no. as if your man was going to go over and overturn this. It was a clear foul. So look, it was a horrible watch. It was a horrible watch. And look, the halftime show as well. What did you think of that, Michael?
Well, it's all about the business of sport and the sport of business for you, Mark. But obviously, there's only one reason why the halftime show is happening.
Billions
and money talks. Yeah, but look, we watched it. The kids were dancing along to it as well. There's that sort of thing. But I think it's I don't know. I'd be more of the opinion, it's not something we are accustomed to at all in football, soccer. I don't really want us to become accustomed to it. I know it's an American thing, and hopefully that's where it'll begin and end. But when they're looking at the bottom line at the end of this tournament, I'd say there's a large chunk of the monies is going to be generated from that show right there. So who knows?
The figures are incredible.
Yeah. Do you know them?
Incredible. I wrote them down earlier, but I didn't bring them in, so I'm not gonna quote. But it was just insane money. But I did not have on my bingo card seeing Ronaldo and Ronaldinho drive out Madonna in whatever that was. It was not on my bingo card.
No, the two boys, they were class. So when
They are.
we're talking about our kids watching sport, but when I was a bit older, back in, I suppose, well, '94 was the first real World Cup for me that I have good memories of, and they weren't there then, but that was a Brazilian team,
Oh yeah.
Romario and Cafu and Dunga and Taffarel in goal, and but then fast forward '98 and '02, and the boys, they were just unbelievable. It
Unreal.
was just samba soccer at its highest, and that's what your love of sport comes from that. But just to Ronaldinho hasn't changed much. He still has that cheeky grin on his face, and I'd say he could still play. And in fairness to R9, he was the best for me. Yeah, but I don't know. I said it definitely wasn't on their bingo card. All right, that they were going to be
Yeah.
escorting Madonna out. But look, it is what it is.
It is what it is. As I said, look, I mean, I don't know if I have too much feelings on it. I watched it as well. Having Justin Bieber, Shakira, Madonna, I forget who else, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, Justin Bieber was there. I thought he was a very slow song for what we were doing. I was like, I didn't expect that. Like, it didn't keep the mood going. But look, it is what it is. They made their money. I think they kind of threw charity in there as kind of their get out of jail as to why they did it. So
maybe think of the
well,
think of the
that was
players,
what
though.
I was listening to that on RT. Richard Sallier mentioned that. But look, if the kids made some money, happy days. But I think the World Cup as a whole, done and dusted. Would you say it was a success, Michael?
Well, before we go on to that, I just thinking of the players. Like those lads play probably 50, 55, 60 games a season. And they're so, and as a player, or even at any level, club level, all the way up to the highest level, I think you're locked into routines, and that whole idea, 50 minutes half time, there's a certain bang 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 to it that they have with their clubs, with their international teams, and then all of a sudden there's an extra 15 minutes there just to fill, and it's not ideal for bodies, especially in tournament football where they have a lot of games played, and just getting too cold. I'm sure they weren't allowed to get too cold. They're probably on bikes, etc., and getting rubs or whatnot, just to keep the bodies warm and ready to hit the ground running again. So far from ideal I know that no one's going to feel sorry for them. They're well paid in what they do, but they're still trying to perform at their best. So that there was there's a little something there we're mentioning. The overall thing, was it a success? Look, I don't know. I suppose it was. I suppose it was. In fairness, like I'm thinking back to earlier days in Boston and the Scottish fans and how they drank the place dry, and you love seeing things like that. And if the Irish were there, it would have been the exact same wherever. I know they were maybe going to be based in Mexico, and that might have been even better. I don't know, would we drink them out of tequila, but it would have been earlier, certainly in the earlier rounds when all the different countries are there and there's that kind of vibe and atmosphere, and the Viking Road taking over America. They're the big bits. They are the big bits that you take from it. So I probably think it probably passed off and went quite well, but there's something when you see Infantino and Trump and all that when the camera cuts to them. But look, we're not going to go there, Mark, are we?
No, we won't. We'll. That was a great point. I mean, on the halftime for the players, actually, all of the pundits mentioned that yesterday, and I suppose that is a massive thing, as you said, when you're used to that all your career, that's 15 minutes, and then all of a sudden it's 30. That's a huge change. So yeah, good point. I would say it was probably a success overall. There was a lot of good games. As you said, the Viking Road, a lot of things stand out. Look, the Americans do things differently, no doubt. And I enjoyed it. I didn't obviously see as many games as I would like, but I enjoyed it, the tournament. And look, the final wasn't spectacular, but the best team the best team definitely did win. And look, besides Trump not wanting to get out of the photo when Spain were lifting the trophy, the day went reasonably smooth. But that's it for another 4 years.
Yeah, unfortunately so. But yeah, look at it. It's big. Even when it comes around again, we'll all be 4 years older. Please God, we'll be alive and well, and we'll be we'll be enjoying. That's the main thing. But you're always going to sit down and watch it. Like, it's that big. It really is. And it just always brings you back to your youth, I find. Yeah. So we look forward with hope and expectation. And that Ireland will be in it as well.
Yeah, that'll be massive.
We might even be doing a live show.
I was going to say we'll be sponsored doing our Sporting Club Ireland podcast at the World Cup. Yeah, that sounds good actually. Yeah, I hope. Please, we want 5 sponsors now. Thank you. So yeah, we'll move on now to golf. You probably you didn't see the Open, did you? I saw bits and pieces.
Checked in every day, just bits and pieces, but like that, obviously on the road yesterday and Croke Park and everything. And just Saturday was actually a big day at home in Caltra. It was a 25-year anniversary celebration for our ladies club, Caltra Coons. So we had a full schedule of events. Thank you. Yeah, it was great. Full schedule of events just for kids, starting off all the way through to Parish League, and there's a fundraising ball drop and all that. So there was a lot. There was a lot going on. I didn't sit down and see much on Saturday, but checked in on the highlights and all the different. There was plenty of talking points between 2-shot penalties and everything, and big moves on final day. But yeah, Ryan Fox got it done.
He got it done, and credit to him. Look, I thought it was going to. I tuned in for obviously the end yesterday after the hurling, and it looked like it was going to go to a playoff at that stage. Cameron Young looked like he was sitting pretty in the clubhouse for a while. Remember, he was my dark horse. Remember, I think he started 45-1. That was the only thing we got close last week. But anyways, Ryan showed his nerve and got the job done. There was a nice moment when he was online, but he was ringing home to his daughter saying he promised he'd bring home the trophy, or she'd asked it. So nice little things like that in sports. So congratulations to him. Rory's week. Probably there was more sound bites off the course than on the course, and Shane was steady. Never really got right into contention, but it was a steady week from him. So did you hear Rory's comments on Scotty? Oh no, sorry, on Bryson.
On Bryson. Yeah,
apologies.
I did. Yeah. There's no love lost there. They're clashing kind of on and off the course a little bit, but look at that. I've read. I obviously saw the event, and I've read and listened to enough about it, and it's not all one way or the other. Like, there's people arguing both cases, but I think Bryson's kind of history or track record or his personality, there's a certain level of maybe dislike built up there over the years. So it obviously went against him. I suppose you associate golf with a certain etiquette and standards, and Bryson seems to challenge those a lot. So that's why we're hearing Rory saying what he's saying and others. So I'd fall on Rory's side of the argument if it came to it.
Oh, of course. For our Irish brothers, but
even beyond that, just
of course. Yes, sorry, yes. No, and look, I like Rory how he says what he thinks. He doesn't shy away. Like I like the way he conducts himself for sure. I'm not against how Bryson, I suppose, puts himself out there and does be chipping over his house and all sorts of different things. I'm not against that, playing golf with Kevin Hart, like bit of a golf influencer. I'm not against that personally, but obviously golf has been built on how many years of how golf has been to be. So anyway, sorry, didn't mean to digress there. And Shane had a steady week.
Yeah, he did. In fairness, just up and down, I think Rory's comment that I think he said he was stuck in neutral. That was probably a good way of describing it. But
there you go.
I suppose it's just one of those things they'd like to have been higher up, just, in the mix a little bit earlier on. But the finish, the finish, in fairness to, the birdie putt on 18 to win.
Yeah, it's incredible. What a way to win.
It's fairly special now. And it's massive for him. Just is he 39? I think
he is. Yeah, likable fella as well.
Yeah, so he's kind of going down. It's not the usual route he's taken, but it's working for him now, and he's on a winner for Pedro.
No, congratulations to Ryan Fox. So, did you managed in this busy weekend to take in any of the ladies' football or highlights? Obviously, it's great to see Galway back in another final, and they will play Kerry.
They will, a repeat from 2 years ago. Now that was very one-sided. We were there. Yeah, I obviously my eldest is roots and plays a lot of Gaelic football, so keeping an eye on that. I've seen Galway play a couple of times this year, and they were very good. They finished really strong against Mayo in the quarter-final a few weeks ago in Tuam Stadium. It was tricky enough conditions, and it was tight in the first half. Of Galway just went up through the gears in the second half, and a little bit like that yesterday or on Saturday against Armagh. Great scores, a huge spread of scores. I think 10 different players on the score sheet, and they're backboned by Kilkerran Clonbyrne, who are one of the most, or maybe the most successful ladies club of all time. But they have all the girls there, the Divleys and the Wards and the Noons, etc., driving forces. And they've tried. I think was it 18 or 19. Dublin beat them in final in Croke Park. A really good Dublin team.
Yeah.
2 years ago was Kerry. Last year they were very, very unlucky. Galway, it went to extra time against Dublin in the All-Ireland semi-final. Very, very unlucky. I think there was a goal, or there was a turnover goal or something like that. So I think Galway really want to get to this final there now. I think they really want to win it to make up for years gone by. I think they have a great chance now. They're going to have to stand up and perform, but they're back where they want to be. Kerry aren't as strong. They've lost some big players since their 2024 win. So Galway will probably go in as slight favourites. And I said there'd be a big expectation within the group themselves to finally, get another one. But doesn't always work out, but they're certainly in a great place. They have a super team. As I said, they've been knocking on the door for a long time now. Yeah, so delighted that they're in it. Definitely be going up with the kids to cheer them on in 2 weeks' time.
Good stuff. I hope to go up as well. And Kerry had a comfortable enough win over Dublin. Is it Shifra O'Shea?
Shifra O'Shea, yeah, Shifra O'Shea. They blitzed them, I think. Yeah, Shifra O'Shea. They blitzed them in the first half. Was it 2-8, 2 points after 20 minutes or something. Dublin aren't as strong as they were. They've lost a lot of players. There's turnovers in every sport, and in female sport is no different. Turnover of players, and so Kerry back in a final, and Cork are gone already. Cork, I think, beat Galway in the league final again with a bit of a late wobble from Galway, a couple of goals late on, if I remember correctly as well. So Kerry will be going in as underdogs. They'll probably be happy enough with that, but we don't have to call that one yet, but we'll have a hometown call on that when it comes to it. And 100%. Hopefully they'll do the business.
And we've got Galway back in action in the Camogie this weekend against Kilkenny and Cork Tip. I believe it's a double header at Semple Stadium. Yeah. So again, we have a bit of Galway interest there. How do you see these games going?
Well, huge interest, really. It's Galway defending champions. They had a 1-point win last year up in Croke Park over Cork in a bit of a real battle, really. Galway and Cork have good rivalry there. Sending off as well, I think, in that game. So I'd say everyone is hoping that Galway and Cork can get back and have a refixture on that, just to have a round two. But obviously they both Galway are playing Kilkenny first, and Kilkenny are probably a younger team. Yeah, Kilkenny are a younger team, so they'll have no, but they're a powerhouse in Camogie as well, and have been a thorn in the side of Galway for a number of years. Galway expect to be favourites to get through that one, and Cork bet Tip in the group stages, and they'll be favourites to get over there too. But there's no such thing as a foregone conclusion. But I'd love to see a repeat of Galway Cork in the final again. We were up there for that last year again. It was phenomenal. Carrie Dolan scored monster frees. I think the one to win it was just exceptional. If you saw Jo Canning doing it, you'd be amazed. And she was phenomenal. So it's just I suppose it's the hunger, isn't it, to kind of go and go all the way to the bottom of the well again for them. And there is a danger, I think there's a danger that they've had a few weeks off longer than Kilkenny, because they got straight through. So they just need to be sharp now. But be hopeful that Galway. In fairness, like Galway ladies, Galway camogie, Galway men's hurling, Galway football, not too far away. It's across the four codes. It's fairly impressive to be competing or fairly competitive on all fronts.
Yeah, look, Galway defending champions, the experience. Kilkenny are good. Like I've been keeping a bit of an eye, the best eye I can on this, and they look to have some, pretty good forwards. Kilkenny, but I think Galway probably edges this by maybe 3-4 points. And again with Cork tip, Cork are strong, and probably anything there from 4 or 5 points. I think probably Cork. So I do think we'll get that repeat pairing of Galway and Cork. But looking forward to it. As I said, obviously now with the World Cup gone, the hurling gone, our sport is starting to dry up a little bit. So it's great to have the camogie and the ladies Gaelic football to look forward to. So looking forward to taking them and at the weekend. And where are we going next is the question. There was a few. Yeah. Okay. So
small matter of the All-Ireland football final.
Yeah. Well, that was our big call. We haven't quite named that. The big call.
Oh yeah. Okay. We'll get to that. That.
Yeah. Yes. Well, let's talk about the All-Ireland football final then. Give it a quick. Let you give it a quick few minutes of your thoughts. Lead us a nice weekend.
Yeah. It's just coming thick and fast. It's the games, the flow of the games is relentless really now, and we are in the peak of it. Senior hurling final over, the ladies camogie and football to come, and men's football to come. So in a few short weeks, it's just everything is back to the clubs. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this one, I suppose. And we would mention this to Anthony Daly on the show, and I would have pointed out, and lots of people are pointing out the similarities between the matchup in the hurling final, in terms of the Limerick versus the Galway, and you can kind of match up the Kerry versus the Mayo a little bit, the kind of tried and tested, and the serial winner versus sort of an up and coming and a new team and a team that maybe have outperformed in this season. And like, it's fair to say Galway probably outperformed in hurling, and Mayo, when you think back to the defeat to the Rossies in the Connacht Championship semi-final stages to where they've come to now, they've really had to just circle the wagons and get going again, and they have improved non-stop from quarterfinal stage on really. And I suppose the similarities I expect the similarities to wash through in terms of the result as well. I do think Kerry will perform in the final. They typically do. They stand it. It's not often they don't show their best hand in an All-Ireland final, and if they do come and play well in this final, no matter what Mayo do, I don't think they're going to be good enough to beat them. I think if Kerry can underperform, and on Mayo's side, I think Mayo will perform. I think they will get a performance out of their lads. There's no reason to fear this one for them. They have everything has gone well for them. They just they've a momentum behind them. But if Kerry are on it, and I expect they will be, I don't think Mayo can have enough to beat them.
I agree. I'm hoping Lightning
don't agree, so someone can can get this right.
Yeah. I absolutely do not agree. No, but what I'm hoping is Lightning doesn't strike twice, because I'd hate to have two non-events as All-Ireland finals, because yesterday was a non-event. The game was over after the first quarter. But like, as the game was going on, I was like, oh man, are we going to have something similar next week with Kerry and Mayo? Because we really could. Because if Kerry hit their straps, they're battle hardened. They've had the tougher games realistically, like the tougher path. And they have the players. And if Davy Clifford hits fire, Sean O'Shea's back, Dylan Geeney, you could be concerned it could run away from Mayo. Now, I don't think it will, because not that I'm saying Michael Dunn, who's very smart. I think Andy Moran's smart. I think, I don't think there's a huge physical difference. I think the Mayo guys are obviously fit, they've talent. So I do think they'll stick with them. I just don't think they're going to win, and it'll probably get away from them in the last 15 minutes. I now have changed from Mayo winning to Kerry winning by 6 or 7 points. So I'm going to Mayo win, though, just so we have one prediction each.
Hedge the bets, yeah, fair play. No, look, I think you're right. Mayo, I suppose, have decisions to make. Do they kind of do what they've always done? You know, they're very much man on man and high pressing. So that means Paddy Clifford is man marked, okay, which probably needs to happen. But similarly, that means David Clifford is man marked, but there's no maybe +1. And Dublin kind of worked a +1, and someone just dropping into that 13 corner quite well to negate a major influence from David Clifford. You know, so or no, they have to. Let's see what comes up there. You know, it'll be one of the key things people, if anyone was there, will be looking around the pitch, see who's marking who straight away. You know, what's happening when Mayo attack, what's happening when Kerry attack, and it's not. And then the other big thing is just the kick out, winning your own kick out, or your ability to win your opponent's kick outs. That is massive. I'd say we'll see a ferocious press by both teams there to try and, you know, pin a team back. And we saw the last day, even yesterday, there was quite a wind in Croke Park. It was blowing down the field towards the Davin stand end. You know, it was quite tricky, hitting it into the Hill 16. If that's the same next weekend, you know, as it was for the semi-final weekend, you know, a lot of the major scoring happens into that Davin stand end, you know, the canal end as it once was. So teams will kind of have to set up differently around that, because, you know, 2 points are on into the Davin stand and they're not as easily on into the Hill 16 if there is that wind. And we definitely saw that wind yesterday in the hurling. It had an impact on that game as well. So there's a lot to come. But yeah, listen, there's a lot of talk about it for the week coming. I just can't wait for it to throw in. And like you said, I hope it's a rip-roaring game. Yeah,
it's fascinating. Look, I am a Galway man who lives on the border, Galway, Roscommon. People are always like, what is wrong with you? Why are you supporting Galway? You play football in Roscommon. But I actually want Mayo to win. I think they've you know, suffered a lot of hurt, and it'd be nice to see them get over the line. It'd be quite poetic if Kobe could get an All-Ireland before he heads off on his little venture. And even while I was talking there was a bit of me thinking, oh, Ryan O'Donoghue could hit fire. You know, Kobe could hit fire. Jack Carney could you know, hit mid, kind of get parity in midfield. But anyways, let's see what happens. But anyways, the big call then, you're going Kerry. The big call, I'm going Mayo. Camogie, there are only other two predictions. So Camogie, I've gone Galway Cork. You are going?
Yeah, it should be Galway Cork. I think it should be Galway Cork. I'm half tempted just to maybe give Tip a nod on Cork, but let's get a repeat of last year's final, because it was a brilliant final, and I think the Camogie faithful would like to see that again.
Perfect. And our sports star of the weekend. So I had Ryan Fox, Colin Neal, Keane Lynch, Kyle Hayes, Garrod Hegarty, Fernand Torres, Cifro O'Shea, and Niamh Diffley. Who are you giving it to?
Oh, if it's my call, I think this one goes to Ryan Fox. The way he won it. The way he won it for his first. You know, I think it's massive. It's absolutely massive to do that. You know, I think age 39. And I heard or I read what you were saying about him and talking to the kids as well. And I also heard him say that. And I liked to when I read this, I liked it. He was saying he was as nervous as hell taking that last putt. You know, there was I was sticking to my process, and I was, you know, going through. He admitted anything could have happened, but he just overcame everything, and he got it. He got it in the cup, and that's the main thing.
Could you imagine? Actually, that's a question I'm going to ask you in the future about, you know, freeze and stuff like that, because. Actually, it's probably easier when you're playing, but when you're watching something on TV and you're really invested, the anxiety does take over, and you're just wondering how these people keep calm. Even when they were walking around in the parade yesterday, my heart is pumping through my chest. I'm like, how are these guys calm? But that's something I'll ask you on a different time. So, look, since you went with Ryan Fox, I would have went with Ryan Fox. I am going to go with Garrod Hegarty, because he's been sensational the last two games. He hasn't scored in either game, but his influence is incredible. he comes across as such a nice fella when he's interviewed, even though he's ferocious on the field. And if you're the opposition, you'd be often kind of like, hey, he's a competitor. So and that's it. I don't know if do you know a boxer called Kieran Malloy?
I do. Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to give a shout out to him because I like my boxing as well. So he's now 15-0. He had a good win at the weekend. Look, he seems to be getting a bit of what's the word? Visibility. People are starting to but he's a Galway man. So
that's right.
So
same name as Kieran Malloy, the footballer. Yeah, so he's well known in Galway. In fairness to him, yeah, it's I don't look at boxing. It's a struggle. You just have to hang in there and get going and kind of a few breaks. So it will be brilliant for him if he can keep going and keep climbing the ladder.
Yeah, because look, I tuned into his fight at the weekend. It was a good win, actually. He looks good, and obviously the fact he's from Galway, on a busy sport weekend. So, that was it. Look, it's quite a weekend of sport coming up. Obviously, you've got the big one with All Ireland that grab a lot of attention. The Camogie, the Commonwealth Games are starting. The Tour de France is getting into its final week. That's pretty much it. Oh yeah, do you bother with the Formula One? Did you get stuck into it when Drive to Survive was on Netflix by any chance?
Yeah, we did. I did, sure. I think everyone did, and it was massive for me. It was massive for me as a grown up. You had the qualifying on a Saturday and you had the race on a Sunday, and it was compelling viewing. And there was Jordan and Ferrari were the two big ones for me back then, and Eddie Jordan and Eddie Irvine and Michael Schumacher. I was a big Schumacher fan, like half the world, I suppose. So, but yeah, back in it, I suppose it's changed a lot. But Drive to Survive kind of reopened it again for us here, and it's just trying to get time to fit it all in, Mark.
Oh, I know, and I forget the golf one as well. I like the golf one on Netflix. But anyways, so the Belgian Grand Prix was won by Kimmen and Tonelli. So there we go. That's it. Look, brilliant. Thanks, Michael. We'll be back with the All-Ireland final preview. I'm not sure who that's with yet. We're going to delve into Michael's book of contacts, fingers crossed. So there's a bit to delve through, chat about, and see if we can come up with some tactics for Mayo to win. But great chat, Michael. Sorry about my technical issues, and have a good day.
See you on the other side, Mark.
Cheers.